Good morning, seventh graders. Today we're going to be studying a story called Lost in the Woods. And it says right there, two kids are lost in a terrifying forest. Can this golden retriever find them before it's too late? Some essential questions that we're going to be working with is what is the relationship between humans and dogs? And how do authors create suspense? How can using multiple sources really enhance your understanding of a topic? So let's get started. First things first, you need to go into Google Classroom and open up the Lost in the Woods slide deck. So go ahead and get that opened. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause. All right, now that you've got that open, we are going to get started here. So the first thing, I have a little riddle. It says, I can smell whale poop. I come in many shapes and sizes. Americans spend billions of dollars on me every year. I sweat only through my feet. I can run faster than you. What am I? So take a couple guesses and then move the box to find the answer. Did you guess it correctly? It's a dog. So we're going to be talking about some amazing dogs today. All right, let's continue on. Let's start with our anticipation guide. And so for each one of these, I just want you to jot down an answer, okay? So have you ever been lost? And what did you do and how did you feel in that moment that you were lost? All right? Go ahead and pause in between these. Number two, what type of jobs do dogs have in society? Name as many as you can. Number three, what are some great qualities of search and rescue dogs? What qualities do they have to be a search and rescue dog? And then number four, identify some disasters or situations where search and rescue dog would be very helpful. So go ahead and do 1 through 4. If you're at school, go ahead and discuss some of these inside your crew. If you're at home, feel free to chat with somebody at home and then come on back when you are ready. All right, well, let's learn a little bit more about dogs. So I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and watch this video, and teachers can play this inside the classroom just by clicking on it. It'll take you to Scholastic Scope, and just simply put in the code. And I want you to answer these questions. What traits do they look for in a search dog? And how are the dogs trained? And finally, number three, how can you become a search dog trainer? So go ahead and watch this video clip and answer these three questions. All right, here we go. We're going to get into our article. I hope you enjoyed the clip. It was pretty interesting to learn about those dogs and pretty cool to see how they, even if they don't become a search and rescue dog, how they can find their forever homes. So let's go into the story Lost in the Woods. So I'm going to ask you to get this story opened. Remember, the passcode is Sailor Crew, and I'll see you back here in just a minute. All right, I'm going to put my story into presentation view. Always remember that if you ever need to, you can listen to the story being read aloud to you. So I'm going to get mine into presentation view. All right, let's take a look at this article here. So, Lost in the Woods. We first get this first glance at this. All right, and we've got our zoom in and zoom out. I'm going to go to the next page. And looking at this page, let's take a look at these text features right here. So I'm going to go right here where it says dogs on the job. All right, canines have been working alongside humans for thousands of years. Take a look at this one. In the ancient world, dogs helped humans hunt. And this is a mummified dog from ancient Egypt. And right here, during World War I, dogs carried messages between troops and brought medicine to the wounded. And then right up here, for centuries, herding dogs have guarded livestock and helped move herds from one place to another. So just looking at some of these text features. All right, I'm going to turn to the next page. And we're going to take a look at these text features as well as we read. Let's take a look at this one. What can a dog smell? It can smell cancer, pythons, bed bugs, electricities, phone batteries. Dogs have up to 300 million olfactory receptors, the cells that pick up scents. Humans have about 50 million, so they're way beyond us. Down here, the first guide dog school opened in 1916, and guide dogs help people who are blind navigate the world. And down here, after a devastating earthquake in Haiti in 2010, search and rescue dogs helped find people that were trapped in the rubble. And then the American military has been using dogs to sniff out bombs for decades. Okay, so we are going to get into our story. Okay, today I'm going to be asking you to read pages 6 and 7 of the story and to complete questions 1 through 4. So you'll be answering these 4 questions, all right, as we go through. And we're just going to read pages 6 and 7 today. So I'm going to get that up and started. So we'll read pages 6 and 7. And I'll get us started and then I'll have you read the next page. So I'm going to read page 6 to you and then ask you to read page 7. It's the stuff of nightmares, getting hopelessly lost in the woods on a dark and rainy night. For Sammy Warchow and Allie Ferry, that nightmare was about to become real. It was 3 p.m. on a sunny Saturday in Issaquah, Washington, a small city surrounded by forests of towering trees. Allie 10 and her mom had just picked up Sammy, also 10, for a sleepover. Now, Allie thought it would be fun to show Sammy a stream that she discovered earlier that day, not far from her house. The stream was just a short walk from the road, at the head of the trail, leading into a vast forest. Like most of the kids in Issaquah, both girls had grown up exploring the woods, so Allie's mother didn't think twice about letting them go out on a mini adventure by themselves. She dropped them off and said she'd come back to pick them up in about 30 minutes. But when Mrs. Ferry returned, the girls were nowhere to be found. She waited a few minutes and then started walking down the trail, calling their names. Allie! Sammy! The swiftly darkening woods swallowed her words. Her panic rising, Mrs. Ferry shouted again and again. Minutes ticked by. The sun was setting, and the rain was starting to fall. The girls had vanished. Mrs. Ferry quickly got in touch with her husband and Sammy's parents. They called 911, trying not to think about the bears and cougars that prowled the woods, or even more terrifying possibilities. Everything was running through my head, and nothing was positive, said Sammy's mother, Vicky. Within hours, nearly 100 police officers and volunteers were combing the rain-soaked forest. Flashlights punctuated the darkness like giant fireflies. The blades of helicopters thwacked the air overhead. Walkie-talkies crackled. The most expert searcher in the woods that night, however, did not have a flashlight or a helicopter or a walkie-talkie. All she had was her nose. That searcher was a 3-year-old golden retriever named Maddie. She had been trained as a search and rescue, or an SAR, dog, the kind that gets called when a person is lost or trapped and must be found quickly. SAR dogs are deployed in the wilderness, as well in disaster areas such as buildings crumbled by earthquakes or mudslides, neighborhoods flattened by tornadoes or hurricanes, and mountainsides crushed by avalanches. One SAR dog can be more effective than 20 human searchers. But could Maddie find Sammy and Allie? All right, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and read Extraordinary Powers on your own. Go ahead and stop right here at passing the test. Once you're finished reading those two, go ahead and answer these 4 questions. That's your work for today. And I will see you back here tomorrow as we finish out our work in this article.